Hi, my name is Robert Amick. I live in West Irondequoit, and my son attends Listwood as a first grader. I would like to update the town on the quote, which is the newsletter we all have sent home by Jeff Crane, Charles Perreaud, and William Dom. The quote is basically their newsletter they send to us to keep us updated as far as the goings-on and the accomplishments and the new happenings of our district. What I noticed, I asked for a copy of all the different quotes they've sent over here over the last year or so, year and a half. And one thing that stood out was the ever-present statistic at the top of each and every newsletter. This is September 2009, sent to my home. The first thing on there, 96% Regents Diploma awarded. New York State requirement of 5 Regents courses/exams. Now, I have a neighbor who attended Oxford University in England. And I asked him what he thought that meant, 96% Regents Diploma awarded. New York State requirement 5 Regents course exam. And he's just a common, plain-spoken man like myself. And he said, well, 96% of the students are graduating with the Regents Diploma on time, basically. You know, the usual 4 years. It's not true. What they're telling you and sending home to your home in literature, presentations, through the PTSA, is basically propaganda. They're lying to you. It's a white lie. They're working their numbers and tweaking statistics. And I'm sure they have an explanation for this, but it doesn't wash. The New York State Board of Education website on Rock Docs, you can Google this, Rochester Docs from Democrat and Chronicle, just published the annual graduation rates for all of Monroe County, for all the suburban schools. Now last year it was, I think, 85 or 83% graduation rate for West Irondequoit, even though they keep sending home this literature saying 96%. This year, according to the New York State Board of Education, now I don't make up their website. I can't go on their website and fudge numbers. I don't have anything to do with that. These are straight numbers from test scores. We are at 83.3%. 83.3%. Now last year, we actually were beat by East Irondequoit. And this year, we're beat them by 2 percentage points. But we're still at the bottom of the barrel in Monroe County. Another newsletter they sent home, this is May of 2010. What do I see here on page 5? 96% Regents Diploma awarded. I have another one here, September of 2010. Page 3, 96% Regents Diploma awarded. And then they go on to talk about all the great things they got going on here. Secondary school. Of course, they don't mention whether they went to a 4-year college or MCC. Secondary study. That doesn't mean even community college. They don't talk about the breakdown as far as the bachelor's, people entering a 4-year college or community college or other study. But they give a nice list here of things they feel are important. The one thing they seem to have forgotten on the list was the 83.3%. Now, I saw a presentation by the principal of Irondequoit High School in their new $5 million library. They spent a fortune on this thing. It looks like a state-of-the-art conference center. And I have to say, it was interesting to hear their excuses. He certainly had plenty of them, that we like to give children time to work at their own speed. Many children work at different speeds, and we like to give them time to do so. Of course, some students, of course, you will not get a 100% graduation rate. But to imply that the students living in West Irondequoit, that 17% of them need extra time other than the 4 years allotted to them, plus the other K through 8 in our district, to pass 5 Regents courses with a 65% or better. Now, they don't have to get A's and B's. They just have to squeak by to get that diploma. But what they're trying to tell you is, the excuses they're making are, our kids need more time. There's nothing wrong with it, they say. It takes them 5 or 6 years, and then they can count it in their little percentages they graduate. That's fine with them. We all know once you graduate from high school and enter college, starting with your first week at college, that this type of mentality that is promoted by the West Irondequoit School District, of working at your own speed, of what I was told by many teachers, they're being forced to give passing grades to failing students. So they're inflating grades intentionally, otherwise they'd lose their jobs, or have some other disciplinary action taken against them. This type of mentality does not prepare them for the real world. When they get to college, the college professors there are not going to take late papers. You get a 0. I remember very well in college. The deadlines were given, the dates were set, the rules were set as far as what's due and how it's supposed to be done. And if you didn't hand it in properly, from what I remember, you got a 0. You also got incompletes, massive grades taken off for being late or having things done improperly. I have to tell you, to listen to our principal of IHS sit in their new $5 million renovated, beautiful state-of-the-art library and tell me, a taxpayer, that they are not getting they don't have enough resources. I don't know what their problem is. But I can tell you this, 83%, 83.3% to be exact, graduation rate is pathetic. It's pathetic. The other districts, Honolulu Falls, Pittsburgh, Penfield, Fairport, there's several, Churchville, Chile, I believe. There's a couple other ones, even those are above us. Now, of course, Brockport's a little below us, and East Irondequoit's below us. But there are 6 or 7 districts that beat us, and substantially beat us, not by a few points. 92, 90%, 96% in these different districts. And we're standing still at 83.3. Now, they asked a lot of this town in the last 10 years. Quite a lot, or I should say the PTA and Jeff Crane, PTSA and Jeff Crane and Charles Perreaud asked quite a bit of this town in the last 10 years. Jeff Crane and Charles Perreaud would meet with the PTSA, the head of the PTSA and the officers in the group of the PTSA, and then send them out to convince the townspeople to bond $80 million and build all these new buildings and AstroTurf fields, and libraries and swimming pools and the like, with the understanding that our district is getting 96% graduation rate. I mean, if I saw this at home, I'd be ecstatic. 96%, oh my God. We're living, what do we got, Harvard here? But that's not true. They're taking advantage of the town. My daughter Isabel attends Christ the King preschool, so did Matthew. And they were told, they sent home a code of conduct there. In their code of conduct includes white lies. White lies are considered a violation of their code of conduct. Now, that's beyond a white lie. But maybe Jeff Crane should call Christ the King and ask for a copy of their code of conduct. Maybe Charles Perreaud should call Christ the King and ask for their code of conduct. Charles Perreaud telling us that he put $8 million out of $12 million in capital reserve funds in the wrong quote, wrong column to the New York State Comptroller. I can tell you, I spoke with people in Albany in the State Department of Education, and he said they saw that quote in Albany. He kind of chuckled. I can tell you, from the sound of it, he didn't really believe that. I know you have to ask yourself, do you think Charles Perreaud, with his background in education, actually put that $8 million in the wrong column? And don't forget, they were caught in late fall, September, I believe, by the New York State Comptroller, overtaxing and hoarding $8 million. Now, they had $12 million in capital reserve funds sitting in the bank. At the time, they thought everything was fine. They didn't need any more money, but they wanted another $10 million in capital reserve funds on top of the 12. That'd be $22 million. $22 million. By New York State law, you're not allowed to have slush funds or capital reserve funds of that magnitude. It's limited to, I think around, in our district, could be limited to around $4 to $6 million maximum. They do that. The New York State Board of Education sets those laws so that school boards like Charles Perreaud, president of the school board, does not go hog wild on taxation and create these slush funds, secret accounts, I don't know what you call them, mistakes, wrong column, necessary. They send home the information with the PTSA again and again. It's necessary for the children. We have to have this $22 million. We had to have the $80 million in buildings. Jeff Crane needed a massive raise this year, up to $200-some thousand. What happens is Charles Perreaud and the Western Irondequoit School Board convinced the public, number one, that we're doing excellent. But by far, 96 would be up there with Pittsburgh, by the way, but it's not true. We get 83%. We're at 83.3%. And then they tell the parents that we have to have all this money in the bank. First of all, it's illegal. They're not allowed to do that. They're not allowed to put $22 million in capital reserve funds. Now, the funny part was watching Jeff Crane and Bill Don present their budget. My friend at Oxford also, he understands business. I'm a businessman. I have a business degree. Jeff Crane